Okay, so we're at our local Nelson's Ace Hardware, and we have a selection of terracotta pots. Basically all you need is, you can get any size. One like this, it's like $4.59 that you'll turn upside down. And then you want to get a nice size saucer. Probably this one here. That one will fit nicely on top. You can also go smaller. So we can go with this one. And a smaller saucer. But it's nice to have a bigger one, just so you have... There we go, that's a little better. So, we're going to take these and show you how to do some bee puddlers. Okay, now we're in the glue section. I know it's overwhelming. Usually they have a marine glue, but the other one that works good would be goop. It is permanent and it is waterproof, and that's a plus for when you're having a puddler that's going to be filled with water. Okay, the next thing we're going to pick up is some mortar mix so that we can mix a little bit up to set the stones for the puddler. And then after we set the stones in the mortar, we'll let that dry, and then we will pick out just a simple grout. There's gray, white, there's a few different colors, but we just probably go with the natural gray. Okay, so then you go to your stones. You can find mixed bags of stones, usually at any of your hardware stores, or you can collect your own out of your yard or at the beach. This size is probably the smallest I would use. These again are a little bit large. You can use shells, kind of anything that'll hold up to the water. So we're here at Lowe's. They have a really good selection of pottery, of course. Different colors, all kinds of saucers. Another idea for a puddler is to do a strawberry pot with the puddler on top, and then you can grow your strawberries in there as well. And if you want to do something a little more decorative, you can use a decorative pot upside down, as long as the saucer is big enough to cover the edges. And even for a tiny windowsill, you can use a little tiny pot with a little tiny saucer. You just have to make sure you keep it filled with water. Okay, now here at Lowe's we have some different rock. Actually, this is pretty much the perfect size. A lot of assortment of colors, so you can make designs if you'd like. This glue would work as well. This is the max strength, and it works for tubs, showers. You can get wet, so this would work as well. And if you're really trying to save some money, we're here at the dollar store, and they've got bags of pebbles that would work great. Pebbles, and you could even use glass stones like this. Hi, this is Leslie at the Curious Gardens, and today we're going to show you how to make a bee/pollinator puddler. You can put these anywhere in your garden, in the shade, or in the sun. We try to make them at, different sizes, but this is just for a basic one that anybody can make. This allows all of your bees, butterflies, and insects to be able to drink or get water, even your little spiders, and you want them shallow. You don't want them too deep because they can't get out. So we're going to show you how to make one today. Okay, so first you're going to need a pot and a saucer. You want the saucer to be big enough to hang out on the edge of the bottom of the pot. You turn these over, and this is going to get glued here on top, and then you're going to do your rock work. But if you want to make a puddler like this that you're going to hook up to your drip system, which we love these because it attracts hummingbirds too, they can take a bath underneath the little drippers. We first have to drill a hole in our saucer. So, terracotta saucers are easier to drill through than a glazed saucer, but you can do it. But what we're going to do is get our saucer wet, a little moist. I might add a little more water. And I put a little piece of wood underneath. And we're going to take our tile bit that we use. And let's see here. See how this goes. See, am I through yet? Not quite. Okay. A little more water in there. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we got a hole drilled. Let me show you. Like that. Perfect to where it will fit. Whoops, sorry. That's this one. That'll fit right up in there like that. But you have to do that first. Okay, so we're going to glue the saucer on. I like to use a marine glue or a plumber's goop, something that's waterproof. And all of your glue comes with a little thing that pierces the top, and then you can screw on the applicator. So we're going to get that on there, and come on, there we go. And so we'll give it a nice ring here of glue. Okay, and that will take a little while to dry, depending on the glue. Some dry faster than others. We'll just line this up. Perfect. Push down, and then you're going to let that dry. Okay, so you can pick out your rocks. These are just different colored ones. If you want to make a design, do your design before you glue them down in case you make a mistake. I always just, you can just trace this on a piece of paper and then lay your rocks out like that, and then do the design exactly like you have it drawn out. Okay, so for these two, I mean, you want your puddler to last a long time. You don't want to have to keep going back and fixing it. So we use mortar to mortar the rocks down. It's like glue before we put a grout in. So this is the easiest one. It's a thin set pre-mixed mortar. It's a little more expensive, but if you look at it, it's all ready to go. Or the cheaper route would be the powdered mortar mix, and you just mix this with a little water until it's a thick consistency that's easy to work with. Okay, so you can either put this down, I'm going to put it down in like a thin layer, a little bit at a time. Or you can do little blobs underneath the rocks and go along, but I like it this way. Sometimes the gloves are useless. So, that on there like that. And then what you'll do, don't worry about the edges because you're going to grout that in the end. So you push your little rocks in. And like I said, you can make any design, but do it ahead of time. And you want them all to try to be fairly level, you know. They don't have to be the same size because the little butterflies and bees will have something to land on that's shallow in the water. We like to use natural rocks instead of glass and other types of stones, but they look pretty, so some people use them, so that's totally up to you. And the reason we use terracotta or even a glazed saucer will work because they're sturdy. I know that the plastic saucers are cheap, but they flex and it will break up any of your mortar and rocks that you have in there, and when it gets hot in the sun, it tends to flex as well. So that's why we go with something really sturdy. Okay, this is kind of what it looks like. All the rocks are in place. I always make sure and leave a hole, you know, make that, if you're going to do the drip pollinator, whoops, got to leave room for this to fit inside, okay? And then we'll just silicone or glue around it after it's completely ready to go. Okay, so this is one that is ready to grout. On this one here, you gotta let your mortar set overnight, 24 hours. Always read the directions on any product you're using. Your glue, always make sure that when you glue the saucer that you let it be completely dry. Okay, this one's ready to grout. So we're gonna use our grout and wear a pair of gloves, and you're going to push it into all of those little nooks and crannies. Get it all down in there. Push down really hard, because you're gonna wipe off the top. Put that down in there and get it close. Probably used a little too much, but that's okay because you can push it over to the side, and then you're going to also put it up the edge of your saucer like that. Okay. Got everything covered, and then to make a nice smooth edge, just bring them around like that. You still want to have a little depth so that the water will puddle up. And then we'll kind of take everything off the top. And we've got our water and a sponge, and you'll just go in here and brush off the excess. It takes a few tries to get that all off of there. Okay, so we're just going to keep using a little sponge to soak it up. You'll be able to see your rocks in there, nice and smooth. You pour a little water in there to help rinse it off a little bit. You have to do that a few times, and then go back, and you can. And as it dries, you're going to go back in and take a sponge, and you're going to polish up the rocks a little bit. Just be kind of gentle with it. And it's almost ready. Okay, so it's getting close. You want to let it set a little bit. Just use an old sponge. You can tear it up and use the pieces, but as you can see, the more it dries, you go back in, you can pour a little water on there and rinse it until, and then you go back with a dry sponge and wash up your rocks and dab them, and you'll just clean them up as it dries. Okay, the more you rinse, the more the rocks show through, and as soon as you get it just like you like it, you can just let it dry. And this will have to dry 24 hours, so this is going to have to dry overnight. So just, you know, don't rush it, let it dry. Okay. So once it's done, this one's drying, we're going to do this one too, but once it's done and dry, then you can place it out in the garden wherever you would like to. We try to keep some, you know, in part shade, and then some out in the sun. We'll show you over here kind of how we hook them up. Okay, so we put our riser in, turn it upside down, and then you'll have some spaghetti hose hooked to your main line. And they have these new little screw-in ones now, which are new, or you can just use the barbed ones, and you'll want to get that screwed in nice and tight. Okay, so this one's not quite set up yet. You know, normally we'd let this dry, but we want to show you how to work it. Find a spot, make sure your spaghetti hose is long enough to get to where you're going to set it. Always measure that out first. This one we're just going to do right here for now, and I'm going to turn it on and let you see how it operates. So this is a larger one that we've done. This is kind of our favorite size, but not everybody has room for one this big. We added some cute little rocks on top of rocks for little landing pads. And this is how it runs in our garden. And then this one here, we do these. These are great if you don't have the tools and all that to make the risers. These we just refill with water, or we put near a sprinkler so that it fills it. And then you want to make sure that you clean these with a scrub brush, you know, once a week in the summer at least, because you want fresh, clean water in there. But these are a lot easier to move around and put in different places where you don't have a water line. Okay, so that was kind of you got to see how we make our puddlers. But in reality, if you don't want a fancy puddler that's going to last a long time, you can always use just a simple terracotta dish, a cute little plate, even a shell. We have an abalone shell that we toss in the garden too. But clay's nice because it absorbs water, so it allows the smaller insects to sit on the edge and absorb moisture out without having to get in where it's too deep where they'll drown. So something that simple. This is one we're gonna give this a try here and do a 3-tier one just for fun, just to see how that goes. The ones that we have out in the garden that are hooked up to the water system, you can find these simple parts in any of your irrigation section. This is just a mister, and the tops you put on these, you can get all different kinds. This is another mister you can use, which is kind of nice for the hummingbirds because they'll come in. And this one's flexible, and you can adjust the mist right here. So that's another option. And so one of the main reasons you want to have puddlers or a water source in your garden is because all insects have to have a water source. And especially here where we live, when the summers are scorching, we get 100-degree stretches, and it's just dire that they need water somewhere. So we offer lots of different water sources for them. And you can add mud to your puddlers. You can buy certain clays that you can add to your puddler, which provide mineral and salts for the butterflies. So if you're really trying to attract butterflies, they go for the clay or the soil that you add to your puddlers. And that, you can buy those online, or if you have access to some clay soil, you know, we just keep a little wet soil in there. And, you know, they can also get it naturally from the ground if you have open ground. But all of your insects and your little birds and things like that all have to have a water source. If you want a thriving pollinator garden, you have to have a water source for them. And it has to be shallow. The deeper ones the birds will enjoy, but for your insects and pollinators, they have to be a little more shallow and have a safe place to land and take off. So, thank you for watching our DIY puddler project. I hope you learned something and found some ideas to make your own puddlers for your garden. There'll be more projects to come that we're going to video and show you. And just enjoy your garden and stay curious, friends.